Good morning.
Morning.
Yeah, a lot going on in the wrestling world today. Have you been watching some of the results from the college wrestling stuff?
Yeah, a little bit here. Following, I watched a little bit of I can't, the freestyle Greco tournament going on out east.
Freestyle Greco.
Yeah, I can't think of what it's called.
It's like the Bill Farrell or something.
Yeah, there you go, the Bill
Yeah,
Farrell. I watched
I
a little
knew.
bit of that yesterday.
Yeah, I know that normally is going around, but you're big into the freestyle Greco, even though the college wrestling is going.
Well, it was on during the day.
Oh,
There was no college on during the day, so today's a big day. You got the journeyman duels, and then
Michigan
Michigan
State.
State Open, and so I'm kind of unsure because I saw Oklahoma State posted their lineup that they were sending, and it had Colin Young's name on there. And then I saw a list that was posted from the tournament of who had entered so far, and I didn't see Young's name on there.
Yeah, well, I just tried to. So I actually pull this up right now. Um, try to pull this up. Um, so currently,
Okay.
these are the teams um, listed,
Yeah.
and so we got some. Obviously, this must be unattached Illinois. Um,
Yeah.
we've
I thought
got
maybe, speaking of that, I thought maybe Tony would be up there, Alvarado.
yeah, and it looked like Illinois only had one wrestler, but um, yeah,
Yeah.
so maybe Illinois is the one, and they only have one athlete registered. Northern Illinois has 27.
Oh,
So
wow.
they're sending their whole team. Um, Ohio State only sent three.
Yeah.
Oklahoma State has 15. So I'm
15.
pretty
So,
sure he's on it. Yeah, I just know that when you go to the wrestlers, um, it's not. It doesn't pull up. It's not public. So
oh, okay.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know when we'll know. I obviously probably um, when closer to when wrestling starts. But
Yeah.
yeah, that would be a cool tournament. I don't think I do think Colin is wrestling. I talked to his dad yesterday. Worked out with his younger brother yesterday, so
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure he's competing, and
What
he's
grade is
excited
his
about it.
younger brother? Is he a eighth grader or is he a
I think he's
freshman?
eighth grade. Yeah,
Okay, I couldn't tell.
yeah, he's still in middle school. That's for sure.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. Well, and then I think Illinois is at that. They're at the duels, aren't they? The journeyman duels.
are they the journeyman duels? They're in Pennsylvania, so I
Yeah,
don't
those
know if
they're
that's
out
the
there for
journeyman
something.
duels.
I know
Yeah,
there's the duels, and there's also a tournament out there, the journeyman tournament where they do. Uh, it's just round robin, so they take four guys and throw them into a pool.
yeah. Well, like we talked about a little bit um, on Wednesday, the beginning of the college wrestling season is kind of like, people are trying to find their lineups. They're trying to get
Yeah,
acclimated to weight classes. Um, they're just kind of just looking for prep matches to kind of get into the season. So nothing's like too. I mean, everything's serious, but it's not.
no, it's not like it's like a preseason.
Yeah,
Like the rest of the semester's kind of once the first of the year comes, and then it's like now they're okay. We figured out our lineup. We figured out these guys are gonna redshirt. We're gonna go forward with these guys, and now we get after it.
yeah,
And sometimes even right before the Big Ten. I mean, they can those teams have some problems, some questions. They got to pick the right guy to throw in there, and that's the guy they go with.
yeah. Speaking of which, we were talking about the Iowa State wrestle offs, and they didn't look like they had real wrestle offs. It looked like they just put guys out there to wrestle, and it's kind
Yeah,
of one sided in most situations. And then a lot of the starters from last year weren't in it, and then they wrestle Stanford yesterday and they get beat, and so they had they didn't have any of the starters or the outside of Christian Carroll maybe, and I don't know if he's starting actually this year or what's going to happen, because I still forget sometimes that there's still a percentage of matches that freshmen get to wrestle without being pulled out of redshirt.
Right.
So who knows how that's going to kind of play
Yeah,
out.
yeah, and it's interesting. I think, which is cool. I mean, these guys get to compete now in some of the big duels and some of the big tournaments, and then they can still, at the end of the day, take that year as a red shirt. The Webster kid last year being one of those kids for Illinois, I think he only lost one match.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, he probably would have done very well, truthfully, as a true freshman last year. But it's kind of nice. It'll be interesting to see, like Ohio State, was Davino.
Yeah.
What they
Whether or not he goes right away.
Yeah, I mean, he looked pretty good last weekend. I mean,
Well, see, I mean, the hard part is like Buzakis is a tough wrestler, but last year he was young, and in the Big Ten and in nationals, he just did not come through point wise and make anything happen. So if you're Tom Ryan, I mean, if it's head to head and they're going back and forth, it's like who's going to be the gamer at the Big Ten and the NCAA tournament, because you need points.
You need points, and I guess you also look at your team. Is this the year? Like, is this the team that you think you can bring a trophy home, or are you looking, man, we keep all these guys next year is our big push,
Yeah. Do you think that is a thought process anymore?
What's that?
Do you think there is? Do you think coaches are even in the thought process of, oh, we'll hold these guys back next year; they'll be ready?
I don't know so much of that. I do think they look at a lineup, like, if you got a guy like Davino, he's ready to go this year. We got Sasso back. We got, we're looking at 7 to 8 All Americans this year. We can really push. I think that goes into it where, hey, we're going to be down. We're probably 4 or 5, maybe All Americans. Let's not burn a red shirt, or let's not waste a year with him. Let's have him red shirt. And now we got all these guys coming back. I don't know.
Well, I was just referring to the idea that there's a whole entire new landscape next year, right? Like whether it's the transfer cycle, the transfer window, right? Whether it's new recruits coming in, so you're basically, it's hard to depend on whether or not a guy's going to still be there, or if he's going to get into the portal, or because if they're, I don't want to say there's smoke, there's fire, but with this type of stuff, like if you're not the starter and the coach chooses to go with somebody else, you're going to start thinking, maybe I should go somewhere else. So if you sit a guy, you'd have to have a lot of communication, and a lot of trust in order for that person to know that they're still going to have that opportunity next year, because that guy's not leaving, And so, say for instance, the Davino Buzakis, if Davino gets the nod and he's the guy, it's not like next year Davino's going to be, oh yeah, I'll take a year off. It's like, no, he's going to be ready to compete again, and he might as well be looking for either a different weight class or a different program. And this is one of the things that I think, depending on how it kind of unfolds, as far as whether Division I programs consolidate from 78 to a smaller amount, I just think it would be so much better and more beneficial to the spectator component, and the programs themselves, if you could get multiple guys per weight class from a team to be allowed to compete throughout the season. And say, for instance, at a national tournament, you could have, 2 Ohio State kids wrestling at the national tournament. You think about it in like other sports, I think like track, obviously maybe gymnastics, they kind of all compete as a team all the time, I guess. But I do think they have multiple people per event in the same,
Yeah.
So I just think that that might be a problem that we're going to have to, that we're going to see. We're not going to be able to do anything about it, but we're going to see, kind of be like, well, Iowa's got 3 guys that could All-American. Unless they figure out a way to let those guys compete, they're going to start moving around. Now, obviously, it might help the smaller programs if, like South Dakota State, all these guys go from Iowa to South Dakota State. Now, South Dakota State has a team that can send a lot of guys to the national tournament and potentially get some more All-Americans. So that's going to help in the short term. These smaller programs develop like bigger platforms as far as competition. But if the NCAA, what is it called? The revenue share kind of consolidates the Division I wrestling programs. You would think that it's going to turn into, hey, let's have, 2 kids per weight class from each team. Now, makes more sense because now there's a whole new opportunity as far as team points. How do you do that? Like probably like youth programs and stuff do it. You just get one scorer. Whoever scores the highest is the scorer.
Right. You pick beforehand, hey, these are my 2 entries, but this is our point score. The other guy's just in there to take points away from people.
Yeah. But who knows?
Yeah.
I did notice. Yeah.
I was going to say, yeah, I think you're right on with the transfer portal and everything now. It's probably is tougher for coaches to make a decision about redshirting someone, especially if they're expecting this to come in, or hey, you competed this year, next year we're going to redshirt. Nah, I'll just go over here because they promised me this money and I can step right in and be the starter again. So
yeah,
I think, like you said, it does come down. Those coaches have to have some pretty good one-on-one conversations and develop a relationship that, hey, I don't know.
Yeah.
But to go with what you said, like right now, it's, you're talking about a lineup and these guys, multiple All-Americans. I mean, I was looking at that problem, right? Was Kennedy, Nelson, and Arnold. One of those guys is going to be out this year, and all of them have used their red shirts. So, I mean, it's a lost year for them.
Yeah. Yeah, it's tough. And, I think that from, kids going into college, I think they have to be a little, I mean, I thought I was immature and not ready for the pro aspect of college wrestling, like the professional aspect of it. But man, kids, and kids going into college now have to have a keen awareness as to, knowing what they're trying to accomplish from an athlete standpoint. As an athlete, if you're trying to get the maximum opportunity to compete and put yourself in position to All-American and wrestle, you can't necessarily be tied to one particular program. And you have to kind of be weighing all these options as far as like, well, if I sit, that's a wasted year where I could be competing, so just an interesting time for college wrestling.
Yeah. As an athlete going into college, you got to realize it's a business at that next level still. You know, they're in the business of putting out the best product, and they're trying to make their money. They can't go out there and not produce, right? So
yeah,
it's nice to see, though, like you said earlier, though, some of these guys leaving and smaller programs now, like South Dakota State, even Little Rock, getting some guys in there, and now all of a sudden you're talking about that team because of someone, which can help build their programs, which is at the end of the day good for everyone. We want more programs, we want to build programs, and
no, I definitely think that's why these smaller programs should really be paying attention and hustling and trying to see where those opportunities exist. Like, again, if Davino gets the nod, somebody should be going after Buzakis because he's a very high caliber Big Ten wrestler that could really help any program.
He's probably a potential All-American right away. You know, he fills a spot in your lineup.
Yeah.
Me and my coworker were kind of joking about the whole transfer portal and kids transferring, and we're talking about the upcoming some of the playoff football games and private schools versus public. And I go, well, you just never know. That public school be winning at halftime, and next thing you know, their guys are on the other team right now, second half, because they got transfer portaled over there.
You're talking high school
Yeah,
playoffs?
yeah.
Oh,
Just joking. I was like, and so we were talking like college. Like, I don't know what the transfer portal rules, but like first semester is over, and you know football still continues in the second. You know, these guys, well, I'm going to transfer now to so and so and finish out the school year there and compete.
well, they do have dates. I have the
Yeah, they do. I mean, it's
I have a NCAA has like a little printout of some of the rules and stuff, which
yeah,
again, it's a trade deadline.
yeah.
If you
I
want to
mean,
call it that.
it's like the NBA, NFL. I'm on.
Yeah.
Hey, you can.
As far as high school is concerned, I don't really know how
Yeah,
that.
I hope it never gets there in high school, but it's
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, I mean, that's the hard part about high school sports and how athletic programs make a valid attempt to, we were talking last time about the Belvedere wrestling program and the wrestling room, and seeing how you were the high school coach at the time, right? At one time, everything's moving in the right direction. You get your own wrestling room.
yeah,
I think, yeah, I mean, the team was pretty good that year. The year after that, you had multiple state placers and state qualifiers and stuff. And then all of a sudden, you take it away, and slowly but surely, now the program's co-opt, and now
yeah.
it's like if you don't figure out a commitment to an athletic department, why wouldn't people go to a different place where they're committing to that program or whatever, right?
Right.
And so it definitely seems like unless there is an understanding or some sort of necessity for school programs, local public school programs, to make a concerted effort to develop specific programs into I want to say an elite developmental program that gives kids the maximum amount of opportunities, right? Whether it's college opportunities, whether it's just just mentally, development, emotionally, like making a program that's good for kids, right? Unless you put that effort and focus on it, I mean, it's going to continue to do that because the private schools are there to do that. That's what a private school is doing. It's a private entity that is choosing, like, we're going to put money into this. We have a donor. We went after a donor. All these types of things.
Mm-hmm.
So I do think, I would say it probably could get worse in some of these bigger sports specifically. But
well, the one thing I'll say at the high school level, and it's probably true at all levels, really, is that I truly believe your academics and your athletic success are tied in. Like, I would think it would be hard pressed to find a top academic school that doesn't have a good athletic program as well.
Yeah.
So
well, I like to always say, how you do one thing is how you do everything. So if you have any type of achievement oriented mindset from an administrative, community, program standpoint, it permeates into other things that you do. So
yeah, I mean, there was years ago when I first started at Belvedere and doing athletic training. It was first Friday night football game, and we hadn't started school yet, and we get the win, and one of the coaches made a comment. He goes, "It's going to be a good school year," and I was like, "Oh yeah." He goes, "Yeah, we got a good football team. It goes a long way. We'll have a good school year this year," and I think it was pretty much spot on. So, I mean, I think when you look at the aspect of schools, yeah, I mean, they are there. Kids are supposed to get their education and everything, but when you want to tie in, I think you have to. And this is me. I'm a little biased because I got into teaching to coach, but I think you have to invest in your athletic programs if you expect your culture of your school to thrive. You got to show that, you know, we take pride in everything, just like you said. If you take pride in one thing, you got to take pride in it all. You can't pick and choose.
Yeah. No, 100%. Yeah, I think there's something to be said about um, the the word is escaping me now. The general like feeling, right? Like I just had the you said culture. Culture is a great word for it, right? But
Yeah,
just in general, people are positive.
yeah,
If you're
yeah.
going to school excited about sports or excited about an event or excited about a kid who's having a lot of success,
Right.
people are in a better state, and there's a lot of stuff that can go with that.
Yeah,
So
you
yeah,
get a little bit of a pride, like, man, hey, we got a big game this week or something, hey,
yeah,
and I'm just using football right now, but man, basketball is doing great. Let's get out, support the school, have school spirit. I mean, it goes. I
yeah,
mean, it's contagious.
yeah. I would agree, and I think I don't know um, what will push people to do that. I don't know if you have to get political inside the school board stuff to really encourage and
Well,
inspire a community to kind of go, hey, listen, we're gonna invest here because we think these are the returns that we're gonna get if we invest here. I don't know how you necessarily do it. As a coach, I kind of tried to do it by talking to my athletic director, but it's oftentimes just stops there because even the athletic director isn't necessarily the decision maker for resource allocation in the way in which not just resource financially, but resources like how many coaches can you get? Well,
right,
obviously, it always comes down to resources, right? So, hey,
right.
we need more coaches. We need more gym space. We need more travel ability. We need more, so on and so forth, to kind of create. And the word always escaping me, morale,
Yeah,
right? When
there you go.
morale is high, it's easy to focus a little bit more on school or be excited. But once that cynicism and um, um, low morale start creeping in, then it's real easy to get, like I said, cynical and not really excited about going to extra practices or, you know, it's things are good when things are good. When things are
Oh
bad, it's tough to get out of the hole.
yeah,
So
yeah. And anymore, I mean, just at and speaking high school level, it starts top down. You got to have the right people at top that believe and want to buy in. But I mean, it's tough, finding coaches anymore. I mean,
yeah,
finding teachers who want to coach. You get a lot that say, "Hey, yeah, we have this English job, we got a basketball job. Oh yeah, I'll do it." And no, no problem to them or whatever, disrespect for these people, but they do it for 1 year and, teaching's getting harder. There's a lot more demands and they find that, well, it's easy to drop. Well, I'll drop the extracurricular. Well, now you have another position in your program that you can't fill with someone in the building. So you hire outside, you know, I would think that a correlation, and maybe I'm wrong. I'm sure there's people that listen that could correct me, but I would think your strong athletic programs have a lot of their uh, main coaches in the buildings.
yeah,
So they are in the halls. They see the kids. They're developing connections and relationships where it's tough. I see they struggle to find coaches. So you're getting people who work in the business world that come in. Hey, I'll take over the program and they coach and they're there for the practice. They get there a little bit early, they stay a little bit late, but they're not really connected to the school.
yeah. Well, again, going back to resources, like just from my standpoint, because I was one of those individuals at one point,
Right.
there's a lot that goes into it, and you're only ultimately getting paid roughly $10 or less an hour for your time invested. It's just really not um, worth your time and effort because of all of the things that kind of go with it. So, again, I think if resources were allocated in a different way, where a coaching position wasn't necessarily a coaching position that had to be, like a real part-time job, right? Like not a volunteer plus a little bit, like an
Yeah.
actual part-time job where, you could spend 3 hours a day there and you're getting, um, not just compensated for your time, but also like you're part of the fabric of the school. So, you could be a coach only as opposed to a teacher coach, but because you're a coach and this position is actually like viewed as an important aspect of the school and the athletic department, now you have maybe an office that you actively are using. So you go speak at gym classes or something every 2-3 days talking about certain things, or maybe even, yeah, I don't even know how that exactly works, but still just a little bit more of an, again, if you look at the college programs, or um, yeah, if you just looked at a college program and tried to create it on a micro scale, you know um, those coaches are very, very valuable to the complete program, or the complete university, but they are there to coach that specific
Right.
activity. um, so, and I
Now,
think, going into this, like, I don't know, like, I think the funding could be there. I just don't think it's like, I don't think it's easy to, uh, like, youth programs in wrestling are run outside entities, right? They're run by people who are parents, volunteers, right?
right.
But that funding, if was if that entire process was taken over by the school district itself, they could fund a top down, and you've seen my program plan that I created a while back, and it's like all that needed was like authority from the school and then funding, and you could put people in positions to really develop the entire system without depending on uh, volunteer actions.
Yeah. Well, a couple of things, at the high school level, you'd never, if you're coaching, trying to make a living just coaching, I mean, it's not really going to be feasible at the high school level. Um, the college level is different because athletics is a business at the college. At the high school right now, it's not, it's not perceived that way. And yeah, I mean, when you're coaching at the high school, yeah, you're compensated, and people, oh man, they pay you pretty well. But when you break it down, uh, it's probably less than $5 an hour that you're making, if you're making that, when you put in all the time during the season outside. I mean, it's,
Oh
if
yeah.
you want to do it the right way, it's a full-time job, right? I mean,
Yeah, I
if
would
you
say
want
not.
to do it for the paycheck, you show up November 11th is the first day of wrestling season. You show up that day, and February 14th at the end, and you're done, and lock the door. And, now you're doing a disservice to the sport. You're not,
Yeah.
doing it to me at least, and speaking just for myself, you're not doing it for the right reasons. Um, the one thing I would say you have to watch, and this is like going back, when we had the wrestling room, we raised the money, we had people donate, renovated, and built the wrestling room. Well, you quickly find out school districts, once they get their hand on something, they take it over. And that's flat out. Well, this is a school district spot. It's in the school building. We'll do as it what we want. Thanks for the donations, but this is what we need to do. So if you allow, like, the Bandits, the high school wrestling program, to take over their funding, all of a sudden you're losing control of where that money's going.
Yeah.
You know,
That's
so
why I
you
think.
like your idea. And I agree, like the Bandits, hey, we're going to help the high school program. We raise this money. What do you guys need? What can we, hey, coach, we'll pay you,
Well, even that system though of like asking, it's like, well, he shouldn't even have. It wouldn't even be
right,
asking. It'd be
right.
like, oh,
But
we
it
have
should be,
this system that
you
that
could put
self
a,
generates.
a program in place. Hey, the Bandits, this is where our money goes, the stipends, boom, boom, boom,
Yeah.
to help, rather than, like you said, you get some people that, you know, the $2,500 for an assistant coach isn't really helping them. Hey,
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. I think,
outside we
you know,
can't get an extra. So
I think my intuition is right though. Like unless you see the other of like more kids going to different schools and like really getting out of the traditional route, you're ultimately, I think, going to have to just get into the political sphere of school board, sell your ideas to the community, get the community to back your ideas, and then that community can kind of take that ownership or that direction. But like talk about all the time and energy and effort into that, like, you know, now you're running a political campaign to get people to understand how valuable athletic sports could be. You know, I remember this
yeah,
not too long ago. I used to, you know, Rockford schools, they got like, I don't know, it's something crazy. I want to say $200 million to renovate all their facilities and stuff like that.
yeah,
Something outrageous. And I just thought in my head, like, man, can you imagine paying for like one of those high level sports coaches, right? Like, you know, Tony Dungy, you know, whatever, any football professional coach you could hire for a fraction of that and get them to be there for 10 years. You know how inspiring it would be to be coached by a professional coach as opposed to, you know, oh, we have a nice building, but I'm still not fired up because, you know, nice
right.
buildings don't equal success. I just think that, yeah, there's so many. And again, yeah, we're going to get into the weeds, but yeah, it's complicated. But
Yeah, yeah. You can, let's say, you can dress up a pig, but it's still a pig. You
yeah,
know,
yeah.
and that's not a rip on Rockford, but yeah, 100%. You can have the
The
best looking
nice,
facilities, but if you don't have the right people in there, then
yeah,
you just got nice facilities.
yeah. And that I think that's the hard part is it's easier to sell new facilities as opposed to, you
Oh
know,
yeah,
higher salaries for people.
and you got something shiny new, and so now, I think it does help right away bring in
Yeah,
people, and man, I want to try that. Look at that's pretty nice. And but if you can't find a reason to keep them or have some success, then you lose them.
yeah,
You know,
yep, that's for sure. But
nor isn't always better.
yeah, it isn't always. It's obviously, like I said, it's complicated because it's a balancing act with your facilities, with investing and showing people you care, and then getting the right people and leadership to drive the culture, to drive the goals and aspirational components.
Yeah,
Um, and
yeah.
that's why, like a place like, you know, going back to college wrestling, that's why Oklahoma State is so alluring right now for
Oh
the
yeah,
college wrestling scene, because it's like, oh, this is a traditional powerhouse, right? They have tons of history. Their athletic program is, you know, top of the notch, right? They, you know, T. Boone Pickens basically
yeah.
and gave so much
Across,
money to that
yeah.
place. It's
Across the board, they're good.
yeah, and now you inject it with these young coaches who have tremendous amounts of success, extremely motivating and aspiring to kind of like chase after, and it's like, whoa, what are they going to do? Because
Right.
they have everything that they need checked. Every box is checked. Now it's just like, you know, let it unfold. Recruit every year, develop the kids that you recruit, move on, recruit again, develop,
Right.
recruit, and then, you know, it seems like it's impossible for them not to have success.
Well, and I guess that's the expectation, right?
Yeah.
What's the timeline, and what do what's their evaluation of success? Are they expecting, that now that's the other side to it, hey, Taylor, you haven't won a national title in 3 years. Is it, what's going on?
I would say within 5 years, if they have, you know, multiple trophies, I think that's a
I,
success. I think if they win a national title within 5 years, it's an absolute success.
oh yeah.
Um,
I mean, and if he does, I mean, you look at it's funny because like Iowa, what's their standard? Well, winning a national title. They haven't won a couple of years, 4 years now or so.
yeah,
Uh, but if they just bring home a title, most people, man, that's we're competing. We brought home a trophy, and but Iowa, that's not. People want to run brands out.
yeah.
You know,
Well, you're never going to make the entire fan base happy.
No.
But as far as an athletic program, I think, one, he's doing a tremendous job as far as still energizing the fan base to come. They sold out tickets
Oh yeah.
every year for the last 2 or 3 years or something like that. They're clearly getting fundraising at the top.
Yeah.
So I
And the
feel
thing
like
is, when
he's
they
hard
go
to say he's not
somewhere, they're
succeeding.
selling out because people want to watch. They want to see the Iowa,
Yeah.
right? I mean, I think I look forward to seeing what Taylor does at Oklahoma State. One, be an Oklahoma State fan, but two, I think, like you said, I mean, that's a program rich in history. You brought in a young, energetic man. I'm losing the word I want to use for him, but he's the guy right now. He's the magic man, right? He comes in, and even just look at the other guys who aren't in college but are coming to that room now to compete,
Valencia,
right?
Dix.
I mean, isn't Bravo Young there now too?
Yeah.
I mean, so I think when you start looking at that level, who else is in the room? I mean, you can't go wrong. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah, I'm excited. They got 15 guys at the Michigan State Open, and
yeah,
we'll see today how they do. See if Colin Young gets to wrestle,
no, hopefully,
and yeah, that's definitely the uh, the exciting part of college this season is to kind of see how that program kind of unfolds. So
yeah. The downside, like, there's been some, Iowa wrestling, Oregon State. There were some great matchups there. I think they're wrestling Stanford tonight, maybe, or tomorrow.
yeah,
Um, you got the All Star duel coming up, though. But like we talked earlier, the beginning of the college wrestling season is just like a preseason. There's no marquee like college football. Right away, you get some good matchups, and like, man, I'm
some
looking
right.
forward.
Don't some of them go compete against some
Right,
random teams?
but it's like I'm waiting for after the first of the year when everything gets really, you get into the Big Ten season. That's when it's
Well, again, in wrestling, the difference between wrestling and football is like football, they kind of have to get to it right away because
right,
they can't, they can't win against not very good opponents and get into the playoffs, and they
right,
can't lose
yeah.
and get
The
into the playoffs.
systems, the system is set up differently there.
Yeah. Like
And
I'm
in
still
college, I
surprised
mean,
that Notre Dame got, I mean, they must have won out then, huh?
oh yeah, they've been doing pretty well.
Yeah, they're better than I thought. I thought they were no way that they were top in the
Well,
country.
yeah, after the mighty Huskies took them down, I thought they were done, but those teams have gone opposite direction since. Notre Dame keeps moving up, and NIU is. I mean, they just picked up a win the other day, but they're, I think, 4-4 or 5-4 on this season now. It's
Yeah. Looks like Notre Dame or Northern Illinois should have picked up a duel with Iowa State early on in the season.
yeah,
Put themselves in that position. By the way, thinking about Northern, they do have Markel Baker. He
yeah,
transferred from George Mason, so I'm excited for him that he's going to be local and he's
yeah. He's the guy for him too, right? At 25, I thought I saw. Did they have
is
wrestle
he
offs or
is
something?
he 25? If he's at 25, he's going
Or
to be a big
33,
25 man.
whatever.
I don't know. I'll find out
Yeah,
today because he's wrestling at the Michigan State Open.
yeah, good deal.
Yeah. All right, McNames. Good
All right.
good chatting with you, and have a good rest of your day.
Yep, you too.